Hey everyone. We are. Whoa. Hey, sorry. We're trying this software out. I have never done it before. Keith's the guy that does it. Anyways, we are trying to be COVID-19 Corona ready and trying to get you guys as updated as possible as things are thrown at us. One of the things that they threw at us over the weekend was a COVID-19 addendum. That is going to be something pretty important. In fact, I just wrote an offer this morning using it, and let's go over why we would use it, and then we'll actually show you. We'll actually go through it. I'm pretty sure you guys can see it on your screen as you're watching this video, but we're going to kind of go through what it is and what it means and why to use it. So let's just go over the addendum first, and we'll kind of from there, go over why we would actually use it. So as you can see, just like a regular addendum, you can put in the number up top. Also, if you're writing a standard addendum, like a standard addendum to the real estate purchase contract, they actually have this as a standard clause that you can add to it. So if you have other things that you're adding to that addendum, closing costs or something like that, you can add that and then add that standard COVID-19 addendum clause. So you don't have to have multiple forms. If you're using just this alone, you can just find the actual form itself and use it. So like this morning when I was writing my offer, I actually I used the standard clause because I had some other stuff on an addendum that I was doing. So yeah, that's the way I used it. But anyways, so on this, you would just obviously mark whatever number addendum it is. Mark whether it is an addendum or counteroffer. You fill out the top just like you would any addendum with the buyer seller information as well as the location of the property. So basically the number one is just basically saying, hey, buyer and seller both acknowledge that we can't control what happens in the transaction because of the COVID-19. We don't know if tomorrow the government's going to shut down completely and say, okay, we can't record on homes, or we're all going to be homebound and we can't get inspections done or whatever it might be, right? So number one is just basically saying, hey, there's certain things here that we both agree could happen that may delay the contract. So number one is just saying that. Number two is an automatic extension of due diligence, just basically saying, hey, if the seller can't allow the buyer in because maybe they're now quarantined at home or something, and so they can't get an inspector in or something. Number two basically just says, hey, if the seller doesn't allow the buyer in for 14 days, then that automatic extension for the due diligence would extend the same amount of days. So if it's 14 days, it would automatically extend 14 days. If it's only 6 days, it would only extend 6 days. And then number three would be the automatic extension of financing and appraisal. So same sort of thing. In the event that the seller is unable to allow buyer access to the property to conduct an appraisal, it would be extended automatically. Now, one thing to keep in mind is anytime that you extend these dates, even if it is, an automatic extension, you are going to want to eventually, when you know exactly the dates that it will be extended to, you're going to want to write another addendum, just basically saying, okay, here's clarification of whatever those dates were extended to. Now, you wouldn't have to do that until this is already, in effect, but you would always want to just go and make sure that you write that out so there's clarity, so that there's no, hims and hums about what that date actually ends up being. So, but this is kind of a safeguard in place so that everybody knows, hey, these could happen unexpectedly. Number four is the right to extend settlement. So buyer and seller should have the right to extend the settlement due to COVID-19 by up to 30 days, providing written notice to the other party. So, that could be, maybe all of a sudden the banks do shut down. You've gone through the whole contract, and all of a sudden, title shuts down and you can't go close. Or, the bank shuts down, they can't finalize the wire transfer to title or something like that, or, title can't record or whatever it might be. Settlement can be extended for 30 days by either of the parties, but they both have to agree with it in this addendum. And again, that is something that you would want to write in an addendum. If any of these things get triggered, you would want to write them in an addendum to clarify. So I'm actually moving my hands a lot, and you guys can't see it on the little bubble here. So, but that's why I'm moving a lot. Anyway, so when would you use this? That's the biggest thing right now is like, what would make you want to use this addendum? Right now, I would say you just use it. No matter what, you use this addendum. If one of the parties, the seller or something, when you include it in an offer, if they don't want to use it, they can, counter back, and you can prepare your clients. Hey, just so you know, the sellers may not agree to these things because maybe they're super optimistic that they're never going to get sick and nothing's going to happen, or maybe they just think it's a fake disease or virus or whatever, and whatever it might be, right? They may not agree to it. But right now, if you're writing an offer, I would absolutely 100 million % use this addendum with every offer you write. If you are a seller and you receive an offer without this, I would also include it. I know it's very, buyer centric, and it helps more or less the buyer on the first 2 points. Number 2 and number 3, the extension of due diligence and the extension of appraisal. But the whole thing is if you don't have it in place, and let's say the seller does get sick, even though they don't have it in place, and they don't allow the buyer to enter the home, without this, the seller is actually in default, because the REPC does state that they do have to allow the buyer in for things like the appraisal and due diligence for an inspection of that. So this would actually safeguard your seller still, even though it's very verbally buyer centric. And not only that, but number 4, because you can, extend up to 30 days for settlement, this would also help to protect the seller as well. So I would say no matter what, whether you're representing the buyer or seller, make sure that if you have a live active contract, even right now, if you're already under contract, get this in the contract so that both parties are aware, because honestly, we don't know what's going to happen. Almost every day we're hearing another state, issuing a stay-at-home order. And, even though the Utah Association of Realtors is calling real estate an essential business, the problem is the general public isn't going to look at us as an essential business. And most likely, if they're stuck at home, they're not just going to let us start entering homes and things like that, because they aren't going to consider us an essential business. And so trying to get that word out is going to be pretty difficult. So anyways, go ahead and just get this included on every contract you're writing, or that you're accepting or countering, or that you have right now. Just use this COVID-19 addendum. Yeah, that's it. So if you guys have any questions about this addendum, you can reach out to either Keith or I. It's pretty straightforward. And as we learn things, we'll go ahead and bring you that information. If you guys learn things that we haven't brought up yet, go ahead and, reach out to us privately so we can kind of, filter some of that information, because we're seeing a lot of misconstrued information out there right now. And so Keith and I are really trying our hardest to make sure that, between earthquakes and meteor showers and all that stuff, that we actually know what the truth is, and we're not just releasing information that's just hearsay. So anyways, that's all I have for this addendum. Again, if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. Talk to you later.